Hyundai upgrades safety features across the range for model year 20 Kona. Details next. I'm John Cadogan from AutoExpert.com.au, the place where new car buyers save thousands off their next new cars. Hit me up on the website for that. Or don't. I mean, it's an equal opportunity thing. I don't care. So, Kona would be my preferred compact SUV, currently on sale new, but there's a couple of caveats on that, and I will tell you what they are in just a second. And yes, there's some A-grade hate from you coming up at the end of this report. Well, from some of you, and to the rest of you I say, try friggin' harder. So stay tuned for that, because it's one of my favourite things. But first, here's the model year 20 Kona safety upgrade detail. Hyundai's safety stuff, which they call SmartSense, because everything has to have a friggin' name, otherwise how would you organise it in the brochure? It's now standard across the range, kinda. In the base model Kona Go and Active, you get camera-based forward collision warning and assistance systems now. In Elite and Highlander, it's camera and radar-based, and this includes pedestrian detection. The context Hyundai paints for this is quote-unquote urban for the Go and Active and quote-unquote interurban for the Elite and Highlander, meaning also useful on the highway. There's also lane keeping assistance across the range now and an anti-fatigue driver attention warning system. And I guess the biggest news here is that Elite and Highlander, thanks to the hardware change for the forward collision warning system, they now get adaptive cruise control. And this would be the cruise control that uses radar to adapt to traffic and congestion by automatically slowing the vehicle down if necessary when congestion is detected and maintaining a safe following speed. It's a really good system. Once you've used adaptive cruise, you would not go back. Plus, of course, you speed back up, okay? I don't think I mentioned that. You speed back up when the congestion pisses off, which is always rather uplifting, and you don't have to do a thing. Lift a finger or an ankle or whatever body part controls that, generally. Prices are up too, generally about $500 across the range as a result of this safety injection. Couple of pro buying tips if you're in the market. This announcement was made by them on the 30th of August 2019, so it's comparatively hot off the presses in the context of when this video gets published. If this additional safety stuff is important to you and you want to jump on it now, just make sure that it is written into the contract for the purchase of that vehicle. Do not let any dealer stiff you by unwittingly unloading any old stock onto you. That would be the prior stock, the previous stock, minus these upgrades. See, when you look across the showroom floor at a dealership, you probably see a fleet of shiny new cars. When the dealer does the same thing, right, he sees a fleet of crushing financial liability because he has bought and paid for those cars. And the interest is a red-hot poker which is poised at the distal end of the digestive tract and gets inserted monthly, like, cover me, we're going in. So there's something to look forward to if you've ever wanted to be a dealer. If you want these upgrades, you want them bad, just make sure your contract says model year 20 Kona Highlander, or whatever, inclusive of August 2019 SmartSense safety upgrades, or some clause of that nature that cannot be weaseled its way around if some horrible administrative mistake gets made. Because if you want the updates and they give you a car without them and there's a dispute, they always defer to the contract. So make sure a clause of that nature is in it whenever both of those stock items are contemporaneously on sale. The old one and the new one, get that specific clause in the contract. And if you don't want any of this stuff or you just don't care about it, either way, just use it as leverage to get a nice big fat discount on existing stock that's essentially just burning the dealer financially with every additional nanosecond that he holds it. Explain, and by explain, I guess I really mean lie. that you really want those safety upgrades. You really, really wanted them, and you wanted them bad, but you'd be prepared to overcome your extreme disappointment should the right financial compensation be forthcoming. And then if they don't go for it, just walk out the door, leave your number, tell them you'll go up the road and check out a Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross. They hate that. But they should call you if they change their minds, because you're such a reasonable dude or dudette and you're still in the market until you buy something else from a competitor. Finally, on this whole should I buy a Kona question, there's two parts to this, okay? There's the subjective part where the Kona moves you down there. You know, you've always wanted to channel your inner dancing mop or whatever. I can't help you with that, you know. Subjectivity is unpredictable and people are moved by all kinds of different things. And if that's you and a Kona's going to make you happy, just go out and buy one. You don't need an objective reason for it. There is a hugely subjective dimension to buying any new car. And if it's going to make you happy, then, you know, happiness is so rare. Just knock yourself out. Have one. But if you are that objective buyer, right, here's the Kona rationale. Maybe you haven't quite grown out of the hot hatch thing, okay? You want the performance, but you also want an SUV, a compact one. Fine, in that case. The Kona with the 1.6 turbo engine, it goes like a cut cat. It just does. For a mainstream compact SUV, it is a bit of a weapon. It is properly fast. I guess the closest thing for comparison is that Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross we talked about earlier. Its 1.5T is not bad, okay? But it's not quite as powerful as the Kona 1.6T across all of the driving rev range. And there's about 20% in it ultimately. So it's a significant edge Kona's way. The Kona 1.6T is available across the range as well, all the way from Go to Highlander. So it's not reserved only for the up-spec models, which is kind of nice. If you don't have the budget for a Highlander, you can still get the premium engine. However, and this is a pretty big however, at least in my book, why don't you just save $5,000 and buy an i30 N-Line Premium instead? It's the same size within a few centimetres, and it also has a higher performance version of the same engine. It's got 18% more power than the Kona, but 20% more power to weight ratio because it's also a little bit lighter. And it's just as practical for 99% of buyers. Or you could go out and buy a Kia Cerato GT hatch, which is roughly the same thing as the i30 with different hair and makeup. So yeah, the Kona, especially the 1.6 turbo, there's a solid objective case for that. But my challenge to you is to get those dealership dudes to park the i30 N-Line next to the Kona of your dreams, and then you can, I don't know, slaughter a friggin' goat and read its entrails or whatever else you need to do to work your shit out, and make that objective case that you need the Kona over the i30 N-Line because you've got $5,000 on the line. And I'll tell you right now that I don't think you need the Kona. And I know the Kona has on-demand all-wheel drive. The i30 is a front driver. That's the only big glaring difference between the two. And to that I would retort that most people never use all-wheel drive and it's automatically turned off over about 60 k's an hour in any case. I think you'll have to try a little bit harder than that to make the case. It's okay just to want the Kona, right? People buy products illogically, subjectively, all the time. If it's good enough for finding a life partner, right? Why do you have to be objective about a car? And the answer is you don't. But if you want to do this rationally and objectively, it's very hard to make the case for the Kona 1.6T over the i30 N-Line. At least in my view, that's how it sits. Over to you. My philosophical question to you today is, have you ever harboured some fantasy about telling the boss to shove it where the Pope doesn't wash and then walking out with a cardboard box full of possessions and becoming a friggin' YouTuber? Yes. Perhaps you want people to love you. Maybe that's a reason to be a YouTuber. And if that's you and you want that love from the audience, here's the cure. Your mechanical engineering info is in some respects passable, but there is a fair slice of it that is crap. The barstool intellectual bullshit artist, I'd take you on in a technical debate. Nice failure to introduce a single critical fact. Roga. This is typical of the fake name troll mug attack. It moves me to speculate that microcock was already taken and that Roga was sloppy seconds. The best names are already taken after all. I'm microcock from microcockexpert.com.au. Hit me up on the website for that. Do you honestly think it's a good idea for someone like you, Roga, to step into the ring with someone like me on this?
And they crucified Preston Tucker.
No, I don't think they did. That was religious Jesus. And he got better, allegedly. Preston Tucker actually invented the Tucker torpedo automobile. That was like in the 40s or the 50s, I think. But I prefer the gun turret he invented for those crazy Dutch. Unfortunately, Mr. Tucker died of lung cancer in 1956, aged just 53, which was probably almost as much fun as crucifixion.
God, you are a cancer. I hope you get demonetized.
Capital G for God, Mr. Squad. Just saying. That's only if you don't want to burn in hell, obviously. Calling someone a cancer is just as absurd as calling them a friggin' Nazi. You got to try harder and make the insults specific. These generic insults, they are not the way to get under someone's skin. And isn't it funny how demonetization is the worst thing that some people can imagine? Why don't you engage with the BBC? They are crying out for a person like you for Top Gear program. I would love to see you there.
Well, me too, Andrew. I would love to see me there on the Beeb.
Beamed into living rooms across Brexitstan, live. Preferably at tea time while people are actually eating. Think about the weight loss having someone like me on the screen could catalyse. How many seconds do you suppose that I might last live on air on the Beeb before someone reaches in and pulls me off?
I watched 3 mins of it. Was this an Australia's Got Talent comedy section or edition?
No, not at all. That particular video to which you refer was nothing more than a fucktard detector. And I'd suggest, happily enough, Mr. Jacobite, that it detected you. So all systems fully operational. Yes. And in case you're wondering, this is just like the tip of the recent YouTube comments feed tsunami of toxic vitriol, a river that flows without end, seemingly. And there's no question, okay, the fake name troll hater is one of the lower forms of human life. They're desperately trying to fill up an otherwise bleak void with their anonymous hate. Doesn't sound like the recipe for success to me. Perhaps if they use their powers for good. Anyway, who cares? They exist. Someone to be pitied rather than feared, though, I'd suggest. So if you're thinking about doing this, okay, you're who this little rant is for. If you're thinking about stepping onto this side of the camera, dudes like this, the haters, can be quite confronting, and you would want to cross the bridge of unbridled hate first, at the risk of sounding like, a deleted scene from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. If you're even slightly vulnerable, okay, and you step around here, or even worse, if you are doing this to be liked, as a quest for approval of sorts, you'd really want to recalibrate emotionally before you put yourself out there in this way. Unless you've got a clearly defined sense of purpose on this, it might not end well for you if you're even slightly vulnerable. You can't be here seeking approval, is what I'm saying. This business about, please love me. Don't do that. If you're here, you've got to be inflicting yourself on the audience, on other people. You being here is a punishment for them. You're dishing it out, they're taking it. The enemy is not the fake name troll hater in this context. He's a friggin' asset, believe it or not. The enemy is indifference. And when you look at it that way, okay, you've got to change perspective. But every engaged hater becomes evidence of your ongoing victory, right? They watch until the end. They comment. They monitor their comments to see if they're getting under your skin. It's perfect engagement. They react to every counterpunch. It drives organic search traffic through the roof, okay? You want more haters, not fewer. In time, I guess what I have to learn to do is to tolerate the people who actually like you out there in the audience, because they exist as well. And for me, it's easy to overlook that. This is my challenge, okay? Because these people, the lovers as opposed to the haters, they're the fans, I guess is a better way of putting it, they're not as much fun as the haters. Not for me anyway. Fans are okay. Haters are great. Fans are like,
Oh, I love your videos, mate. Oh, I never knew that. Thanks. You helped me save thousands on a car and you made me laugh. Thanks for that. I really enjoy cleaning up after I spray coffee out me nose all over the friggin' keyboard.
it's all good if you like the reports. But to me, right, an A-grade hater is like, yeah, let's get the gloves off and we'll jump into this phone box and let's see who walks out, shall we? It's why I love the haters. They're just so engaged. It's a window into the human id too. You don't want to diminish the haters in terms of what they represent. They are part of us. They're part of the human spirit. That's a scary thought. Look at the correlation between hate and illiteracy. It's through the roof and beyond perfect, I'd suggest. This whole Marquis of Queensbury-inspired concept of the fair fight with the hater, right? Fuck that. Totally overrated. As far as hate goes, I say, bring it.